Alright, so in this video, I will share 3 simple and proven steps to manifest your goals and desires. But you have to hear me out, because the simplicity of what I'm about to share with you is what keeps most people from applying those 3 simple steps, right? Because they overcomplicate it. Because most people keep searching for methods, right? Instead of following this basic and main formula that I'm about to share in great detail with you here. Right? Most people let their mind overcomplicate it. They think, oh, I heard this one content creator say that I have to heal my chakras first, that I first have to work on all my traumas, that I first have to dissolve this, that I first have to feel good, that I first have to be on a high vibration, that I first need to, again, cleanse chakras and do this and script and affirm, at least 10 times a day. And that, 3 times a day I have to follow this strict routine to manifest. And we overcomplicate it, right? Instead of us noticing how simple it can be. I noticed for my own manifestations, when I kept it simple, when I stick to the approach that I trusted in, when I stick to something that worked for me, then it always worked, right? And there are many ways people approach conscious manifesting. I know a lot of people, myself included, for some desires, it's just a decision. Like it's just of course I will get this. I always get what I want. This is who I am right now. It's an inner decision, which is again also a shift in consciousness. It's also a shift, that decision. But it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. Sometimes, right, for not everyone that will work. Because if you never were in a financially abundant position and you just say, okay, from now on I'm financially abundant, although that would work, it might take some time to actually dwell in that new state, to make it more like certain and stable for you. And that is why, repeatedly going back in your imagination, in your inner world, and experiencing a scene can really nurture that new state and make it your new accepted currency of thought, so to speak. We'll also talk about that later. But my point to come back to the video is that, again, most people overcomplicate it. They are not able to follow something so simple because they believe, no, it can't be that simple. There must be more. I must do more techniques. I must do them more often. But again, I notice when we really go into self-abandonment, when we devote ourselves to this state and we make it simple, we're not using effort and force, we're not using willpower to be in that state. No, it's more like a dropping in that state, right? More like a relaxed approach to it. That yielded the most results for me. That also yielded the most results for the people that I work with. So you'll be able to apply those 3 steps today. There are no requirements. You don't need to first learn about, manifestation for another 3 months and watch 10,000 videos to be like, yeah, now I can finally start to do something. Because there's also a trap your mind keeps you in. It always seeks new information. You always watch the newest video in your YouTube timeline. You always watch the newest Instagram story of your favorite manifestation, Instagram account. I know how it works. We've been there all. But trust me, you can start today. You don't need to wait. After this video, I want you to apply those 3 steps today. And at the end of the video, I will also share special tips that help me and my community to make this even more profound, to make those 3 steps that I'm about to share with you now, to make them even more potent, to help you even better. From my own observations and from the observations I made after working with hundreds of people, witnessing manifestations in every single life area that you can imagine. So let's dive right in. I'm very excited to share this with you right now. But before we do, there's one quote I want to share, and that will also summarize the 3 steps or the 3 key ingredients it needs to, successfully operate the law, and then we dive into how you apply them. So the man who at will can assume whatever state he pleases has found the keys to the kingdom of heaven. The keys are, number 1, desire, number 2, imagination, number 3, a steadily focused attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To such a man, and listen closely, so to someone who understands this, who understands those keys, who knows how to apply them, to such a person, any undesirable objective fact, meaning every undesirable current external circumstance, is no longer a reality. It's no longer something to be scared of. Really powerful. All right, so let's dive in and break down the 3 steps. Step 1, desire, right? My statement as well, Neville said this as well, is without desire, there is no movement. So what do you want right now? Before we attempt to, get new circumstances, before we attempt to apply this law consciously, we need a goal. Without a goal in life, we drift. Without a desire, we drift. And we all do have desires, but sometimes we suppress them. Sometimes we don't allow them. We say, I want to achieve this anyway, so we just try to ignore it. But if it's a real, genuine desire, it will keep coming up, right? It will come up so long till it will be basically unignorable, till you really strongly desire something. But that's the first thing we need, right? The first thing we need, because if we don't have a desire, if we don't decide for a goal, there will be no movement. And as we learned in previous videos where I talked about the inner man and the outer man, and that the movement first needs to be happen within, and then this movement will be reflected on the outside, we need to first move within. But we can only move within if we know into which state we move. If we know with which desired, reality we start to fuse with, we start to shift into, we start to align with. Because it is already created. We're not creating this desire. We're not creating this desired version of ourselves. We're not creating this circumstance. No, we align with the reality, with the state in which it already is so. Because creation is finished, you can't create something new. You can only reveal it by aligning yourself to that already existing state. Okay? So, the question is right now, what do you want? What do you want? And you can tackle this from two perspectives. You can tackle this from focusing much on the outside, which is not what I would recommend, because then you're more focused on the symbol. What do you want? Okay, I want the lottery win. That specific symbol of the lottery win, that implies financial abundance. But here you go. What you actually want is the state of financial abundance. If you win the lottery and the next day, they tell you, oh, sorry, it was a mistake, you didn't want it, or you lose it, or it burns, or your bank account gets frozen, whatever. You won the lottery. But is that what you really want? Or is it the quality you promise yourself behind that external symbol? So get really clear. The more true you are to yourself, the more pure you are, the more you really get clarity on the state that you want to be in, on who you want to be, right? The quality that you want to have for yourself, how other people would describe you from the outside. This is a person who is like this. This is a person who got this. You're perceived from the world like this, and you perceive the world from a certain state. If you know what you want, then we can go later to the second step. Right? So now, first step, get clear on what you want. Right? So the first step in changing the future is desire. That is, define your objective. Know what you want. What do you want in life? Right? And there is something you want. Otherwise, you would probably not watch these videos. So be honest. Don't push it aside. If it is something that you haven't gave attention to for a year, now it's the time to again give attention to that. Is it in the health field? Is it in the financial field? Is it in the business area? Is it in the relationship area? Is it in the lifestyle area? Right? What is it about? What do you want? All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. And that is something that I also really noticed, and I discussed that with my members in my program in our weekly calls, is that the more burning a desire is, the more intensely you want something, usually the easier it is to manifest that. Because the likelihood that you stay persistent, the likelihood that you shift to the end state because you are fed up with the current circumstances and you really want to change them and you really want to dive in the wish fulfilled, the more intense the desire is, usually the better. So if it's just that would be nice, but I'm also good with who I am and where I'm at right now in life, the likelihood that you actually, make that inner movement and make that shift will not be very high. So therefore, what excites you? What lights you up? What empowers you? What really is it that you want right now if you're honest with yourself? That's your real desire. So the first step in renewing the mind, in shifting your consciousness, is a desire. You must want to be different before you can begin to change yourself. So now, first step, asking yourself, what do you want? And take some time, you can explore that. You don't need to snip your finger and say, yep, that's it. You can explore it. Right? And you could also always take to the next step. So, okay, I think I want that lottery win. Let's just say I would have that. What then? Well, then I would want to give you a lot of money to friends and family. Okay, what then? Well, then I would travel the world. Okay, what then? But because by a little bit investigating, you could also come to the real end of what you actually want. And then maybe you realize, oh, you want freedom. And your mind simply translates that desire to, oh, that's a lottery win. And then you focus on the symbol, on the external lottery win, instead of focusing on within being in a state of freedom, and then it might happen through a whole different bridge, right? You have to be smart here. So what do you want? First step. Let's go over to the second step right now, which is this. The first question you ask is, what do I want? The second question you ask yourself is, what would imply it? I don't want you to overcomplicate this. I know some people say, yeah, but I'm not good at imagining. I can't see something in my imagination. No, either you've not really like tested it or applied it for some while, or you just haven't found, let's just say, the best suited imaginative sense that you use. Some people like to see things, some people like to hear things. I sometimes even like to, feel like a touch, or when I hold the phone on my ear. You have to test that a little bit. But the goal here is that if your desire would be a manifested fact, what would you experience? What would be different in your life? What would a friend say? That's it. Ask yourself the desire that you've here declared and got clarity on, and now decided and now chose, so to speak, or the desired version of yourself, right? What would imply it? Go through your life, go through your friends internally, go through your family members, go through your day-to-day life, go through your current lifestyle, go through things that are not there yet, but that you think, yes, that would definitely happen if I got my manifestation, if this is now a fact in my life. This person would say this to me. I would experience this in my life. I would hold this in my hand. Right? I ask myself, if I have my desired car, well, I would hold the keys to that. My desired apartment, well, I would celebrate with friends and family in that apartment. Well, the desired relationship, someone would make a comment on what of a good couple I look like. So ask yourself, what would imply it if it is there? Don't overcomplicate this step. I think this is what most people overcomplicate, and then they make like a mind movie. Then they try to include 10,000 details in the scene because they really want to make sure, so I really want to tell my consciousness that this is included, that this person has brown hair and this and all the details and all of this. No. That is you bringing the rational mind, the overthinker, the critical analyzer, so to speak, into the experience, and then it becomes artificial. Then it's not natural to experience that scene. What would imply it? It can be one sentence from a friend, it can be one word, it can be one hug, it can be, one experience you make in your life. So construct an event which you believe, you subjectively. So maybe someone would say, if I get the car, I feel the car keys in my hand, in my pocket. Someone else say, okay, I would see it on a driving lot. Someone else say, my best friend would congratulate me. You have to take the scene and the experience that is most suited for you. So what event do you think would you encounter following the fulfillment of your desire? Read between the lines, right? We're not imagining that desire itself. We're imagining something that follows naturally after that, after we already have achieved that. And an event which implies the fulfillment of your desire. That is the second step. That is the second key. Right? And if we go back to the quote, right? First, the desire. We decide what we want. Then imagination, right? Then we need to say, what is it that we are going to experience in our imagination? Because it's right now obviously not here yet. But in our imagination, we can already feel that car key. We can already hear that friend congratulate us. We can already be with that partner. We can already feel as though we are financially abundant, right? So one more time, what would imply it? Not, my desire, and I see it in front of me and I picture the desire. No, if that desire is present in your life, what would happen after that? Third step, that is where it becomes the most practical, I would say. That is where most people are stuck from transitioning from knowing the theory, from knowing what they should do, from having understood, okay, there is a certain deliberate internal conscious shift that is usually like required, unless you're a little bit more experienced, unless you know that also just a decision is an inner shift. But then it comes to actually sitting down and experiencing that. And that is what most people don't do. That's why in our program we have guided imaginative sessions where we do all of that together. But the third step is experiencing the imaginative act. We first say, this is what I want. this is my desire, this is my goal, this is who I want to be, this is exciting me, this is what I feel really, now, like what feels empowering to me. Then we say, so if I have this in my life, if I am this would change, this would be different. I would experience waking up differently. I would experience drinking my morning coffee differently. This friend would definitely make this comment. This family member would definitely say this. And now what we do is now we experience that. Now we give ourselves within that internal experience by remembering that an imaginative experience is as real as a sense experience. And it is the cause. And then this is mirrored back to us because imagining creates reality. So sitting and laying down and imagining the scene. That's it. Sitting down, laying down, and imagining a scene that we previously, in step 2, determined. Not once, but in a loop, repeating the same simple experience. The same 3 seconds. I would not make the scene longer than 3 to 5 seconds, not creating a mind movie, not a long thing, because then it's usually becoming more, oh, that would be nice, and oh yeah, this detail, and I forgot this detail, and oh yeah, also this. Then it's more like a drifting, instead of a deliberate experience of this one act that this implies I have my desire, right? Repetition leads to a deeper inner identification with the desired state / reality, right? Repetition leads to that knowing. Repetition leads to that belief. Repetition is the key, but repetition and persistency, most people perceive this as work and as exhausting. Repetition is only exhausting and persistency when you think that you do it, you imagine it, you shift internally to get it in the future. But if you know that you can, in the here and now, experience the joy of your wish fulfilled, you can now hear that friend congratulate you, enjoy the experience, be in the experience, and that happens now because your imagination is spiritual sensation, right? You sense something, you experience something, you shift your awareness into something that is also in existence right now. Otherwise, you could not experience that, and that gives you the relief now, and that the manifestation is only a consequence. Then you will know that persistency is not hard work and exhausting. So that's the third step. Experiencing this imaginative act repeatedly. You have doubts? Come back to the imaginative act. You don't know what to do externally? You come back to the imaginative act, which implies it is already done. You want to do something, you think, oh, I should take action. Well, you can only think you should take action because you want to work towards something. You want to take action towards something, but you're not sure. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Pause, relaxation, back into the scene, which implies that there is no longer an action for you that needs to be done because you're fully in your wish fulfilled. So that really you can let the external you be moved automatically. So, like Neville said, immobilize the physical body and induce a state akin to sleep. Then mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action. Imagine all the while you're actually performing the action here and now. So immobilizing the physical body, also people slighten the importance of that because they then just, imagine just for like 2 seconds, which again is also good and dynamic, and you can imagine all the time throughout your day. That's really good. But I will later tell you that when you really relax and you really, calm the mind, then it's really easy to actually imagine it, and you will actually start to feel a certain relief from it. You will actually start to accept that, wow, this literally happened. This is true for me. This is who I am. You will shift into this knowingness. You will shift from hope, trying to make it happen, doubts, into fulfillment, faith, trust, conviction, when you relax. Okay? Now, the way to use your imagination creatively is this. Relax in a chair or on a bed, close your eyes, first determine what you wish to experience. So we're just hearing Neville again, confirming the steps and my explanations that I gave to you. So first you have to determine what it is that you wish to experience. Then, in this state of relaxation, bring your mind to the end result of what you desire. And here's one of my favorite quotes. I know of no clearer definition of the means by which we realize our desires than to experience in imagination what we would experience in the flesh were we to achieve our goal. Let that sink in. Right, Neville, who also worked with hundreds of people, spoke in front of hundreds of people, had his mentor Abdullah, had his own manifestation, successes. He said of the years that he knows of no clear definition of the means by which we realize our desires, than to experience a scene in our imagination that we would experience on the outside were we to achieve our goal. And again, a new idea, a new state, a new reality will not become part of your common currency of thought until it has been repeated over and over again and you begin to live by it. So don't think that, this is true for all desires. Of course, we know that if we have applied this law, that sometimes it is absolutely enough to just imagine once and it happens. I would say it simply differs from desire to desire, depending on how easy it is for you to accept it, how natural it already is, how much manifestation experience you got in the past. That's all subjective and unique. Don't be worried about that. But what is definitely true is that a repeated idea, a repeated state will over time become a part of your currency of thought, right? It will be a habitual state. It will be a state that you automatically return to. It will be something you automatically identify as and see the world from and know yourself to be and know to be true for yourself. And I want to conclude this by sharing a couple of special tips with you guys that I, came up in my own journey, that I learned, that I also, taught people in our program and that they applied, which really helped them. So the first thing is this, and that is why we also included that in our weekly calls, which is longer imagination sessions. You will not know, if you have not experienced that, how extremely potent a longer imagination session is, right? A longer imagination session for me is between like 10, 15, sometimes even 20 minutes, where you sit down and you have one scene that is 3 seconds and you loop it. So you start to experience it, and it will first of all take maybe 2 minutes till your mind is even calm. So that's already that's already 2 to 3 minutes of that time. And then once the mind is calm, and then you start to reimagine, it could also be that your mind drifts and wanders away from that scene, and you bring your awareness back to that imaginative experience that you laid out, that would imply to you that your goal is definitely achieved. And then you hear that friend say, "Wow, how have you done this?" Or, "You have to tell me all the details." Or, "I'm so happy for you, bro. That's amazing." You know how your friends would speak, right? No friend speaks like a robot. No friend says, "Yeah, so Peter, it's amazing that you manifested this relationship with this person and that you make $10,000 a month and that your business is going successful," and that, no. They'll just say, let's just take one desire. They would say, "Wow, you both look amazing together." Or they would just say, "Your business is absolutely thriving. What are you doing?" Or you overhear two friends of yours, how they speak. And that's just a couple of seconds, that one act, that one sentence, those couple of words, right? Or that where you see something on your screen, on a certain login, or where you touch something in your imagination, right? That's just a couple of seconds, and then you repeat that for about 15 to 20 minutes. That is really powerful. And you can do that once or twice a day. In the beginning, I noticed for most people it will be helpful to have a certain routine, right? I'm not the biggest advocate for having like a strict manifestation routine, because this law should be dynamically integrated. That makes it so like alive if we use it dynamically. But again, I noticed for desires that we really want to make natural, it is super helpful to once or twice a day dedicate a certain time amount to really, in a longer session, experience that, where we are undisturbed, we're just by ourselves, sitting somewhere, being in a relaxed position, and just imagining that. It's unexotic, it's not crazy, it is simple, but remember what I said in the beginning, that keeps most people from doing it, because they can't even sit down for 15 minutes by themselves. They don't even, see the importance in that. They don't even give themselves and allow themselves to do that, because they think, oh, they're constantly in the doership. Oh, I need to do something. No, instead of doing inner shifts, I work outside towards something, but that doesn't work. So actually changing your internal dwelling place usually requires repetition and persistency, and coming back to it till it is accepted and normal and stable for you. And you will reach a point of satisfaction. That is my statement. You will reach a point of satisfaction where you literally feel it is done, where the desire leaves you, where the desire died, because it is fulfilled, because you experienced its fulfillment so long and so often that there is a point of satisfaction where you feel like no longer wanting to even continue the imaginative experience, because it's like you reimagining that your name is what it is like. Already at the first attempt, that's boring. For desire, it can take a week. It can take a month. It can take a while, but experience it again. And then what will happen is that you will have no, let's just say, opposite reactions or fearful reactions towards your current same circumstances. Remember, your reactions do not come from the circumstances. Your reactions come from who you are within in that moment towards the circumstances. Someone that is in a financially abundant state and sees a red number on the bank account, they're not getting a tight throat and being shocked and having, overwhelming emotions coming up. Someone that is in a very lacking financial state and they get a huge bill, if that comes up, it will cause them to worry and be like, oh my God, hopefully not another one. Hopefully I will be able to pay this. So, but if you change your inner state, also you will see that your reactions will decrease towards the same circumstances, which is a good sign that you moved within, right? So that's why the tip here would be to, again, longer sessions, right? Returning back to the end. And also non-critically observing your reactions to see, because that will give you the indication, and if you have shifted, if they have not changed and you're still desiring and you're still triggered and you're still reacting, well, that is a big indication that you're still coming from the old state. So plant the seed by returning to the wish-fulfilled state if you have doubts or if you're worried what to do. It's also a big learning, right? People then say, yeah, but should I do this? And I could do this action now, and I maybe have the idea, I thought about doing this or this, but I also have doubts that I mess it up. I'm also not sure if this will mess up my manifestation if I now do this action. This is already you again in a very subtle way. It is sneaky, it is subtle, but that's why I can keep you accountable on that. You are again in a state of thinking your desire is not here yet. You are not it yet. It is still, you still see it at a distance separate from you. So you're like thinking, now I could do this action to get towards it, or I could do this. Or I have even doubts. Now a little doubt came in. Can I really do this? Can I really achieve this? You didn't notice that in that moment you were falling a little bit back in the state of not being it, of not having it. Once you discovered this, once you got aware of this, you have a choice. That's already a gift that you became aware of. Oh, I doubt again. Oh, I wanted to do actions again. I was not sure which action I should do to get it. When you observe that, you have two options only. Either staying stuck and dwelling on it and trying to figure it out, which will not lead to anything, or aligning back to the wish fulfilled. That is what separates the ones who actually manifest of the ones who really delay it, or who don't manifest, or who really delay it and then it takes them 2 weeks to be like, oh, maybe I should just go back to the wish fulfilled, because then that question would fall away. In the wish fulfilled state, while you're dwelling in it, you cannot ask yourself which action you should take to get towards it. In the wish fulfilled state, you cannot have a doubt on if you will achieve it or not. You are in it in the here and now moment. Right? That's why, if we go back, the here and now is so important. So you have to again bring the desired state in the here and now. Instead of contemplating on how you might get there. If you get certain impulses, that's great. If you get certain action, let's just say, impulses, that's great. But if you question them, if you have doubts that they will mess something up, these are not automatic actions. Automatic actions are actions that you just do. Inspired actions, these are not actions that you think about, should I do them or not? These are actions you automatically do under compulsion. There is not a free will where you think about, should I do it or not? So if you catch yourself being in that twilight state of, worried if you should do option A or B, or having some doubts on your bridge unfolding, that is where you need to, again, return to the wish-fulfilled state. Instead of losing yourself in this old state, that is not a state of the wish-fulfilled, clearly. Very important. So these were my tips. These were my explanation, again, on the 3 simple steps to manifest. So to recap, we go back. What do you want? What do you really want? Right? You find a genie, and the genie tells you, hey, how do you want your life to be? Who do you want to be? What is actually relevant for you? What do you genuinely desire? And you will get answers. You will get desires. You will, find things that you want to change in your life. So if these changes would have taken place, if that is already in your world, what would imply that to you that this is now in your world? What would you experience? What would change in your life? What would a friend say? What would you do differently? Come up with that. Right? Example, you have a injury on your ankle. You want that to be healed quickly. You want to be healthy and be able to walk quickly. What would you do if your ankle is healed? Well, you would be on a walk with a friend. You would be maybe jogging through the park, which you did earlier, but now you cannot do it any longer. But doing it again implies that it's now fully healed. Right? Stuff like that. And then you want to not just think about that and say to your mind, oh yeah, it's done. Yeah, it's now done. It's done. I see people do that, but they always still deep down desire. They just satisfy their mind for a second, but they're not really shifting to the end state. So that's where sitting down, the unexotic, straightforward, simple thing of sitting down and imagining that, aka experiencing that in the here and now, and taking your focus away from the world, the current circumstances, going into the silence in your inner world and giving yourself that inner experience that implies the wish fulfilled. That is what most people don't do. So do it today. Start today. There's literally no excuse if you have a desire to not start today. And then you got these special tips from me. Right? So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Leave me a like also if you like this video, if you like these longer, deep dive explanations. If you need more help, you can check out my free masterclass and my program. You'll find both of that in the description and pinned comments. And I speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.